English translation 181st Contact Friday, 31st December 1982, 18:25 hours.
Man, it took a rather long time before you announced yourself again. For weeks, I have tried to reach you because there were some things that I wanted to discuss with you. In addition, I was desperately waiting for the fact that you would at least transmit the last report to me.
Listen, my friend, I expressly told you that I would first visit you again when your state of health had substantially improved. But precisely this was not the case during the last few weeks, because exactly the opposite was given. In addition, during the entire time since your fainting, you neither adhered to my nor the doctor's orders, that you need rest, that you are not to perform any work, and that you must abstain from any excitement. Under such circumstances, I could neither visit you nor transmit to you the contact reports of the last visits. It would have been the sure end for you if I would have done it anyway. For this reason, I also will not transmit the various last reports which are pending yet, for it would be too strenuous for you. Now, at last, attentiveness to your health must be given, and only its value must be borne. Still, for a long time, you will not be over the mountain, as you tend to say, because the worst consequences can still occur. I am just surprised that this has not already happened long ago, because when I think of my experiment with the androids, then it is all the more incomprehensible to me that you remain among the living, or at least have not fallen into insanity. And all this only in consequence of the fact that some diehards in the community of the center have thoughtlessly and irresponsibly indulged in their selfish and illogical nature for many years, which they still do not discard to the present day, and with this they maintain the danger, without a single thought of guilt, in driving you into insanity or death in the foreseeable time. A fact that, unfortunately, we cannot prevent by our means because you stubbornly hold to still being able to lead everything onto the right track somehow, even though it will be an impracticable venture, because the troublemakers just as stubbornly hold to their egoism and to their autonomy as you do to the will of carrying out your mission. And that this is actually so, I could very well recognize last Wednesday when you interrupted the study of the core group members in the kitchen in the afternoon, which was, by the way, absolutely right of you, because that was the only way that you could protect yourself on the one hand, while also being able to respond to Bernadette's false assertion on the other hand. Unfortunately, there is a great burden with her, as you rightly said that afternoon, that from her wrong or wrongly expressed thoughts, etc., she always wants to bend things in such a manner that would give the impression that her thinking and actions are correct. She then expresses this in each case also in that she endlessly throws the same phrase into the field. That she had also thought of exactly what you explained, and that you had misunderstood her expression, however, or that maybe she had not expressed herself clearly enough. But that is not her only serious evil, which causes resentment and discord among the rest of the group members, since her aggressiveness toward the other group members still has not been dismantled by her, whereby she continues to create bad blood and depressive moods in the others. And if I speak of Bernadette in regards to these things, then I also have to include Jacobus in this, who falls on the same tracks from time to time. It is, however, to be said of him that he does strive very hard to fix this damage, and that some successes slowly appear, which, unfortunately, has not yet been the case with Bernadette in this respect. But if Jacobus strives a little more intensely, then he may have repaired the defects in a rather short time, whereas this may persist for a very long time with Bernadette, if she does not finally find the way of effort. Her behavior toward the group members, Her steady and usually unjustified fault-finding and aggressive attacks reflect a very low level of effort, concerning which she was already stopped several times. In addition, if I may use your own expression again, then I would like to say that it would be better for her, in every respect, if she would clean her own house rather than sweep her dirt or alleged dirt in front of her neighbor's door. In truth, she only sees the tiny thorn in the eye of her neighbor, but the beam that is in her own eye she does not even perceive. And that, my friend, that had to be said once, especially because you reported to me recently that Bernadette had asked that her fallibility be shown openly. But whether it can be certain that her assent means that she will swallow the revealed truth and the pointing out of her errors, and that an improvement will develop from this, without an unwarranted anger resulting, even if it should only be internal and secret. I doubt it, however.
And you actually want to transmit everything to me?
That is of correctness, because it is necessary that the concerns of today's discussion be recorded as contact reports. Indeed, I will have to be helpful to you during the transmission, so that you do not overexert yourself.
All right. Do you still have more of the kind as you have just proposed?
I have to discuss a great deal with you regarding your state of health, but that is determined for you alone.
Very well. Then I have some important questions. First of all, we have decided that the personal spiritual teaching of the individual group members in the center should no longer be carried out in their quiet chamber, but together in the hall, whereby each one works for himself or herself alone, nevertheless. Namely, solely through this, I think that we can be certain that the personal spiritual teaching will also be pursued. What do you think about this?
I think that it is correct like that, and that for the center and for those group members who reside therein, everything should be maintained in such a manner. That is also the reason why I let this idea impulse penetrate into you, so that you would regulate it so. I also think that this should be received as an ordinal rule, and that it should possess validity for all group members of the center, without exception. Any evasions from cooperating in the said manner may not be accepted from any group member.
So it was you, for I could not even explain to myself from where I suddenly had this thought. Only today did I talk to Engelbert about this and told him that it was puzzling to me as to why and how I had this idea, and that it seemed to me as if the thought had come from somewhere outside and had settled itself inside of me.
Then you have correctly recognized things.
We still have problems with regard to these things here, if you want to read these notes.
Concerning the plan for Sundays, you have my approval. I think that it will be a very good solution for the allocation of time, the learning, and the evening meal. Concerning the meditation times in the center, which need to be shifted, it is such that I can be helpful to you by programming a new registration for all persons concerned, so that with the next visit to the Sohar Center, their new time becomes registered in the corresponding storage. That should be helpful to you.
Good. Then I have another question due to Guido, for he would like to go home again at this time before the meeting because he made an agreement with friends or acquaintances. In any case, I understood something within that frame.
The statutes stipulate that there is an obligation for the monthly participation in the meetings. On the other hand, Guido fulfills his duties regularly and also strives to the best of his abilities. So his desire can very well be granted, whereby he can even fulfill some of his private obligations, which are probably also connected with his occupation, to which he must also give his attention. But if there are still necessary things that would require his presence at the meeting, then those should be resolved by Engelbert with him.
Thank you very much. You are not at all such a monster as one might sometimes think.
Your head seems to have received another nasty blow.
Unfortunately, no, I just feel somewhat better at the moment.
That is perceptible from your humor.
Without some humor, one flips out.
You say that directed towards me, but unfortunately, I cannot let such happen at the moment because I am still concerned with Elsa, who very rapidly and uncontrollably alienates herself from the group and the task. For this reason, I must arrange that her appearance and cooperation in the center must become more intensive again immediately, within the scope that she spends every second Saturday evening from 19, 0 hours, and the following Sunday until that evening in the center in each case, and that she fulfills her duty there. And also, she should be incorporated into the increased meditation in the Sohar Center, for which I likewise undertake the necessary programming. Concerning Elsa, I have found out that she puts forth reasons of work overload, etc., in order not to have to appear in the center and not to have to be active there, whereby she often does not attend to such works at home, nevertheless, but is involved in wrong businesses and in other various things that have nothing to do with her school teaching work. Therefore, it is my view that if she can spare time for these delusive and other various businesses, then she should fulfill her duty as a core group member of the community. And this should possess validity starting today, without further exceptions and without delay.
That will set me back quite a bit.
Now, at last, all group members must fulfill their duty and must stand by their task. Either one is of the thought for the truth, or one is against it, whereby the latter has been destructive for a long time. Neither the preservation of an occupation, nor the preservation of an existence, etc., entitle an honest person to deny the truth or to deny any more than there is in this respect, and neither does it give one the authorization to neglect their duty. Whoever is knowledgeable of the truth also has to behave accordingly and to do everything to ensure that the truth is consciously spread. But if this is not done, then it equals a crime committed against life and against each co-life form.
You speak to me from the heart. May I once read to you something that I have recently received from a core group member? It also refers precisely to what you just said. It is almost in direct connection with it.
If you think that it is advantageous, then read it aloud to me. From which group member is it written?
On the one hand, I do not want to tell you that officially because this should remain a secret between this really perceptive, very dear person and myself. And secondly, I think that you know everyone in the group so well that you yourself find out everything. It is not that I have no confidence in you because of not mentioning the name, my friend, but you should know that the author has written these lines to me in confidence, and I would like to preserve this confidence. I just hope that my action will not be misunderstood if I read the lines to you, and thus they are probably returned by you in the report through the transmission. But my thought is that these lines represent a tremendous value and must be brought to the attention of all, even though at the same time no name is mentioned. Many group members can help themselves to a large piece of this and try to digest it, in order to learn a damn lot from this, especially the one who provided and who provides the reason for the fact that other group members fall into such hells, and that only evil, screaming misery is inside of them.
Your words in the fallible one's ears, but now, read it aloud before you excite yourself in rage, for your words already point to this.
Good. Then listen. Here it is written. We cannot afford anything more, and yet we always jump out of the given framework. It is bad because deliberate mistakes are often made. These are always the same. Bringing about unrest, they sneak around, everyone becoming infected by their poison. So we will sink more and more into their animosity and into their coldness toward one another. Although we could not live among humankind anymore because we live differently, to know what it is about. But we apparently go on in order to perish. We are approaching the end. Even if some of them get their act together, still, it is no use whenever the same people always commit gross, negligent, and inexcusable errors. Everyone must suffer from it, unfortunately. The hourglass is running out, and I do not know if I have the strength to watch as one grain of sand after another falls down into the abyss. I know that right now, I just have a crisis both mentally and physically, but I suspect that I do not want to or could not live together in such a manner with these human beings. You know that we are so many humans, and yet I am alone. Can you understand that? I worry mentally about everyone. I cry. My eyes burn from unshed tears. What do we accomplish if everything fails? I could no longer coexist with other people because they do not understand me and they do not understand us. On the other hand, I find it increasingly difficult to feel at home here too. You would not believe it. When I am away and I come again into the proximity of our island, then an eerie feeling comes over me, and this always happens whenever inconsistencies prevail in our stronghold. Why can we not live peacefully with one another, without malice, cursing, and evil thoughts? I soon will not be able to endure these eternally envious people anymore. I was always an optimist, but I will soon no longer have the strength to maintain this. Please read this through and do not let it upset you, and forget it soon again. Now, I feel a little better, and I hope that you are not mad at me because I have the audacity to write to you. Please do not speak with me, because my problem will only be resolved if our so-called group becomes a real, undeceitful, harmonious, neighbor-loving group.
You did very well to read these lines to me. They are very far-reaching and expose the most intrinsic problem.
I almost howled, damn it. On the other hand, I would have hugged the little fellow most dearly around the neck and would have embraced him. Unfortunately, I am a too large and boorish lumberjack and would act rather dumb while meeting this need. But on the other hand, if someone could also observe when one offers his neighbor an affectionate gesture or some consolation in all honor and love, then stupid and primitive gossip would already be served on the plate. It is simply crazy because just in our group, where honest love should be taken for granted, it often cannot be made known there.
That is of correctness, and that is more than just very unfortunate. Especially egoism and jealousy flare up very quickly in some group members when a person manifests his genuine love for his neighbor or simply respects him and treats him accordingly.
Different individuals should finally see to it that they find their partners in order then to marry. This would perhaps resolve a few things, but about which I am not convinced, for maybe even greater problems could emerge from that.
That is of correctness. But the problems of the partnership cannot easily be solved for various group members, such as with Jacobus, who sees too many wrong things as a result of his wrong thinking, even more than he himself thinks in this regard, although an application by him would be urgently necessary for a long time. Yet for today we have spoken enough about these things with each other. You have exerted yourself very much and give that impression with your appearance. I am going to stay here now and help you to write everything down. After that, I will go.
As you wish.